Story number 1. Echoes from the Abyss, the Asylum's Secrets. It was the year 2001. That summer, we found ourselves drawn into the heart of darkness, an ancient mental asylum abandoned since the early 1950s and ensconced in a ghost town, a relic of the past named Black Hollow, on the outskirts of the U.S. I was a 28-year-old documentary filmmaker named Ryan, armed with a restless spirit and a hunger for unraveling the unknown. Sarah, my childhood friend and an aspiring paranormal investigator, had come across tales of unexplained deaths linked to devil worship and exorcisms in the asylum's crumbling walls. She had convinced me to document the exploration. 2 other members joined our crew: Chris, a cynical yet seasoned journalist who had covered numerous such haunted places without ever being convinced, and Eliza, a gifted young psychic who had helped the police on missing persons cases. "I can't believe we're doing this," I whispered to Sarah as we approached the rusted entrance gate of Black Hollow. The sun had begun to set, casting eerie shadows on the dilapidated buildings. Eliza looked visibly uneasy, her pale face drenched in cold sweat. "This place. It's different," she murmured, her eyes scanning the windows of the asylum for any sign of movement. As we ventured deeper into the asylum, we began discovering relics from its dark past, medical records of failed exorcisms, patients who had died under suspicious circumstances, and graffiti hinting at devil worship. The air grew heavy with an ominous energy, and the echoing whispers grew louder with every step. One night, as I was setting up the camera, Eliza suddenly screamed. We found her in one of the wards, staring at a wall that had drawings of devilish symbols and a name written repeatedly: Lucinda. "She's here," Eliza whispered. "A girl, barely 17. She died during an exorcism, her spirit trapped in these walls, and she's not alone." Chris scoffed. "Are you sure she isn't one of your imaginary friends?" Eliza's eyes flared. Lucinda wasn't just a patient. She was a victim, a pawn in devil worship rituals held here by the very people supposed to protect her. As days turned into nights, we witnessed terrifying phenomena: levitating objects, shadowy apparitions, and Sarah even claimed she had seen a girl, dressed in white, with hollow eyes staring back at her. Chris remained skeptical, brushing off the incidents as tricks of the mind or staged events. However, one evening, as we were reviewing footage, a distorted voice echoed from the speakers: "Leave, before it's too late." Sarah and I exchanged worried glances. Was this Lucinda's voice? As Eliza delved deeper into her psychic connection with Lucinda, we learned about a network of underground tunnels where dark rituals took place. She urged us to find these tunnels, believing that confronting the past was the only way to free Lucinda. Navigating the dimly lit maze, we stumbled upon an underground chamber. In its center lay a broken altar, surrounded by remnants of burnt candles. On the walls were ghastly illustrations of the devil, with names of countless victims, including Lucinda's. Suddenly, a chill enveloped the room. The candles ignited on their own, casting an unholy glow. Eliza began chanting, her voice echoing through the tunnels, as she attempted to communicate with Lucinda and help her cross over. The room started shaking violently, and deafening screams resonated through the walls. I clutched the camera tightly, documenting what felt like an otherworldly battle between good and evil. Chris, paralyzed with fear, finally understood the magnitude of Black Hollow's dark secrets. After what felt like hours, the tremors subsided. Eliza, exhausted, whispered, "It's done." We had freed Lucinda and countless other trapped souls, laying them to rest. As we emerged from the asylum, the first light of dawn painted the horizon. We knew our lives would never be the same. The memories of Black Hollow haunted my dreams for years, but they also stood as a testament to our triumph against unspeakable horrors. And as I sit here today, writing down these memories, I realize that some places, no matter how much we wish to forget, leave an indelible mark on our souls. Black Hollow was one such place. Story number 2. Shadows of Silvertown, the Cursed Asylum. 2002, Silvertown, a forgotten suburb of the US that everyone seemed to avoid. Why? Because of its cursed asylum. Growing up, I'd heard countless stories about it, but it wasn't until that fateful year that I found myself right in the midst of its darkest secrets. I'm Alex, a history major with an interest in unsolved mysteries. My two close friends, Mia, a passionate urban explorer, and Jake, a tech-savvy audiovisual expert, decided to take a deeper look into Silvertown's history. Mia had recently stumbled upon old newspaper clippings about the countless unexplained deaths and rumors of devil worship associated with the Silvertown Asylum. To make our investigation legitimate and cover all angles, we teamed up with Lila, a budding investigative journalist, and Damien, a pragmatic paranormal psychologist. We aimed to discern if there was any factual basis to the horror tales that had haunted Silvertown for decades. As our van approached the grand entrance of the asylum, the ambience turned chilling. Decades of neglect had left the edifice with broken windows and nature creeping into its confines. While setting up our base camp, Lila shared a gruesome piece of information. Most of the reported suicides here weren't just by hanging or overdose. Many involved ritualistic symbols, pointing to a form of devil worship, she whispered. During our initial exploration, Jake captured audio of what seemed to be murmured prayers, even though no one was around. As nights turned to days, we would find strange symbols painted in red, objects moving inexplicably, and shadows that seemed to dart just out of sight. On our third night, as I was leafing through old records in the archive room, a cold hand grazed my shoulder. Startled, I turned around, only to find a faded photograph of a group of doctors surrounding a young woman, her eyes wide in terror. The name Eleanor was scribbled on the back. I felt a sudden connection, an urge to uncover her story. Damien tried to make contact. Using a Ouija board, we asked, "Eleanor, are you here?" The planchette moved to yes. "What do you want?" Lila asked. "Justice," it spelled. The subsequent nights were a blur of terrifying events. We unearthed a hidden chamber beneath the asylum. Inside, a sacrificial altar hinted at the dark rituals that had taken place there. Mia discovered a diary that revealed Eleanor had been a patient, wrongly diagnosed, and subjected to numerous exorcisms, all while being used as a vessel for the devil worship led by the very doctors sworn to heal. As Damien initiated a ritual to free Eleanor's spirit, the ground quaked. Eerie figures, remnants of the past, roamed the halls, their tormented souls seeking redemption. Eleanor's apparition appeared before us, guiding us through the dark corridors to a room where we found the remains of the malicious doctors, their deaths the result of their own dark practices. With Eleanor's help, we managed to release the trapped souls, putting an end to the hauntings of Silvertown Asylum. The aftermath was overwhelming. Our evidence and Lila's detailed account exposed the horrors of the asylum, leading to its demolition. Silvertown began to heal, and life returned to a semblance of normalcy. However, as I penned down these memories, the chilling events of 2002 continue to haunt me. Silvertown Asylum might be gone, but its dark shadows will forever be etched in our minds. Story number 3. Whispering Pines, Echoes of the Damned. The year was 2003, and the oppressive heat of summer was upon us. The air was thick with tension, mirroring the anxious excitement that thrummed within me. My name's Ethan, an archaeologist with a fascination for the macabre. My girlfriend, Clara, a folklore enthusiast, had shared tales of the Whispering Pines Asylum, an ominous edifice in a forgotten suburb. The tales were replete with devil worship, unexplained deaths, and alleged haunting phenomena. Driven by curiosity, we set out to uncover its secrets. To fortify our expedition, we enlisted the expertise of 3 professionals: Julian, a gifted medium known for his uncanny ability to communicate with spirits; Audrey, a skeptical criminologist with a penchant for unraveling mysteries; and Noah, an ambitious documentary filmmaker eager to capture every spine-chilling moment. The first time I set eyes on the dilapidated Whispering Pines, a shiver ran down my spine. It stood as a grim testament to the horrors it had witnessed. Julian, almost immediately, mentioned feeling an oppressive force bearing down on him. One evening, while Clara and I were mapping out the layout of the asylum, Audrey stumbled upon medical records detailing exorcism procedures, each ending tragically. One name was consistent in all records: Madeline. The description was that of a young woman with jet black hair and striking blue eyes. It happened one fateful night. Julian conducted a séance, urging Madeline to communicate. The room grew cold, candles flickering wildly. Then, a disembodied voice whispered, "They summoned him, entrapped me." As days melded into nights, the asylum's sinister history unraveled. We discovered that Madeline, diagnosed with a mental disorder, was subjected to multiple exorcisms. However, the truth was far darker. The lead physician, Dr. Crowley, was a devil worshipper. Using Madeline as a conduit, he had aimed to summon a dark entity. But the ritual went awry, leading to Madeline's untimely death and trapping her spirit. One evening, Noah's camera picked up an eerie shadow in the shape of a girl, her blue eyes filled with sorrow. This was Madeline, still trapped, her spirit tethered to the place of her torment. The climax of our exploration came when Audrey deciphered a ritual from Dr. Crowley's notes that could potentially free Madeline. Julian, risking his own sanity, decided to conduct the ritual. As we chanted in unison, the asylum shook with a primal force. Spectral figures of past patients roamed the corridors, their mournful cries echoing. Madeline materialized before us, her eyes now filled with hope. With a deafening roar, the dark entity Dr. Crowley had tried to summon manifested, its malevolent presence threatening to consume us. However, Madeline, with newfound strength, confronted the entity, sacrificing herself to force it back into the abyss from which it came. The once oppressive atmosphere of Whispering Pines lifted. Madeline's spirit, along with countless others, had been freed. We left the asylum with heavy hearts, our experiences forever etched in our memories. Noah's documentary became a sensation, shedding light on the atrocities of Whispering Pines. Audrey's revelations led to the place being consecrated, ensuring no dark practices could ever be performed again. Even now, as I reminisce about those harrowing days, I'm reminded of the cost of tampering with forces beyond our understanding. Whispering Pines stands as a stark reminder of the thin line between our world and the one beyond. Story number 4. Black Hollow, Asylum of Lost Souls. In 2004, the allure of the inexplicable drew us, like moths to a flame, to Black Hollow, a desolate suburb overshadowed by its sinister mental asylum. I'm Sarah, an anthropologist with a passion for the arcane. Beside me was my best friend, Lucas, a dedicated parapsychologist. Together, we'd embarked on countless expeditions, but nothing could have prepared us for the harrowing journey ahead. Upon hearing the chilling tales of Black Hollow Asylum, we were compelled to delve deeper. Joining our expedition were Rachel, a dynamic forensic photographer, and Dean, an investigative journalist with a sharp nose for mystery. The first sight of the imposing Black Hollow Asylum was enough to send shivers down my spine. Abandoned for years, its hollow windows seemed like vacant eyes, hiding countless dark secrets. Lucas, ever the optimist, saw it as a trove of untapped paranormal potential. Rachel's first photography session inside captured ghostly apparitions, distorted faces pressed against the windows. Dean, scouring old newspapers, found recurring mentions of a Dr. Hawthorne. He was reputed to mix devil worship with his experimental treatments, and many patients, instead of recovering, met unexplained, tragic ends. Our nights in the asylum were marked by eerie occurrences. Faint cries echoed through its dilapidated halls, and several times, I felt unseen hands grasp at my ankles. One evening, as Lucas and I explored the basement, we stumbled upon an old surgical theater. The instruments, stained with ancient blood, told a tale of unimaginable pain. One particular room, room 13, stood out. Every night, at precisely 3:13 a.m., agonized screams emanated from within. Mysteriously, the room was always locked. One day, in a daring move, Lucas picked the lock. Inside, we found diaries belonging to Dr. Hawthorne. His writings spoke of an entity named Mara that he tried summoning through dark rituals, using his patients as conduits. Rachel, during one of her photography sessions, captured an image that chilled us to the bone. A gaunt figure with hollow eyes, believed to be Mara, stared back from the photograph, her grip on a patient's heart. Lucas theorized that the souls of those sacrificed were trapped, bound to the asylum. He believed that confronting Mara might free them. Dean, ever the skeptic, had reservations but agreed to the plan. With a mix of trepidation and determination, we set up a seance. As the wind howled outside, Lucas began chanting ancient incantations. The temperature plummeted, and a palpable dread filled the room. The ghostly figure of Mara manifested before us, her eyes burning with malevolence. Surrounding her were the tormented souls of her victims, their pain evident. With a deafening scream, Mara lunged at us. But Lucas, using an amulet he'd procured, managed to bind her spirit, rendering her powerless. One by one, the lost souls were freed, their expressions turning from torment to gratitude. The sun rose on Black Hollow Asylum, its sinister shadow somewhat lifted. The spirits that had once haunted its halls had found peace. To this day, as I recount the events of 2004, the terror we felt remains all too real. The haunted halls of Black Hollow Asylum stand as a testament to the atrocities that man, in his hubris, can unleash upon the world. Story number 5. Raven's Crest, Shadows of the Forgotten. The summer of 2005 remains seared in my memory like a hot iron branding flesh. I'm Natalie, a history graduate with an insatiable curiosity. Alongside me was my childhood friend, Damien, a psychology major, and his sister, Elise, a lover of urban legends. The three of us shared a bond tighter than family and an unquenchable thirst for the unknown. Our thirst led us to the decaying town of Raven's Crest. We'd heard whispers about its infamous mental asylum, a place that screamed haunted from every cracked brick. To assist in our exploration, we enlisted the help of two experts, Vanessa, a talented audio technician known for capturing phantom voices, and Tristan, a dedicated paranormal investigator with a history of confronting the supernatural. The asylum, overgrown with creeping ivy, loomed before us, casting long, foreboding shadows. Vanessa's equipment buzzed to life, picking up faint murmurs of long-dead patients. While setting up camp in an old patient's ward, Tristan shared a discovery. Old records detailed a sinister doctor, Dr. Lysander, who dabbled in devil worship and used vulnerable patients in dark rituals. I still remember the bone-chilling evening when Elise and I, drawn by a soft lullaby, discovered a series of faded drawings. The innocent scribbles depicted a looming figure, a demonic entity labeled as the Keeper. Its dark eyes seemed to follow our every move. One night, while Damien and I wandered the desolate halls, we stumbled upon an old electrotherapy room. The switch, surprisingly, still worked. But as electricity hummed, it didn't just power the room. It seemed to energize the very spirits trapped within. The ghostly apparition of a woman appeared, her mouth open in a silent scream. The next day, Vanessa played back a chilling audio recording. In a voice dripping with sorrow, it whispered, "He summoned the Keeper, now we are trapped." The revelation was clear. Dr. Lysander's rituals had invoked an entity far beyond his control, binding the souls of his victims to the asylum. Resolved to end the torment, Tristan suggested performing an exorcism to banish the Keeper. As the full moon lit the asylum's forsaken corridors, we formed a circle, reciting verses known to ward off evil. The ground shook, and the air crackled with tension. Emerging from the shadows, the keeper revealed its grotesque form. Damien, drawing upon his understanding of the human psyche, began communicating with the entity, trying to reason with it. A gut-wrenching scream filled the room as Elise, possessed by the spirit of a former patient, lunged at Vanessa. In her eyes was a mix of pain, rage, and despair. Through sheer determination, and with Damien's guidance, Elise's own spirit fought back, eventually expelling the tormented soul. As dawn approached, the entity, weakened by our collective willpower, was banished. The trapped souls, including the woman Damien and I had seen, were finally set free. We left Raven's Crest, our hearts heavy with the weight of what we'd experienced. Vanessa's recordings became a chilling testament to the atrocities committed within the asylum's walls, while Tristan continued his quest to cleanse haunted places. To this day, when I close my eyes, I can still hear the faint echoes of those lost souls. Their whispers serve as a grim reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows, waiting for the veil between worlds to thin. Story number 6. Echoes of Elmridge, The Silenced Cries. 2006, Elmridge, a name that sends chills up my spine every time I recall it. I'm Jake, a documentary filmmaker with an insatiable curiosity for the unexplained. By my side was Clara, my partner in every sense, a passionate researcher and the love of my life. Our quest led us to the abandoned Elmridge Asylum, surrounded by tales of sorrow and torment. To better understand the shadows that lurked there, we sought assistance from 3 experts: Mia, a gifted psychic known for her connection with the spirit realm; Ethan, an archaeologist with a penchant for uncovering dark secrets; and Lena, an exorcist whose reputation preceded her. The gray, dilapidated walls of Elmridge Asylum told tales of despair. In its heyday, it was notorious for its brutal treatments and unexplained deaths. Ethan, after digging through old records, painted a haunting picture of Dr. Keller, the asylum's director. It was rumored he had traded his soul, embracing devil worship to gain forbidden knowledge. Our first night was marked by an unsettling occurrence. Mia, in a trance-like state, began scribbling furiously on a piece of paper. When she snapped out of it, before us lay a detailed sketch of a demonic figure, which she named the Silencer. As the days progressed, we experienced disturbances that defied logic. I remember walking the cold, echoing halls when I felt a cold breath on my neck, whispering words I couldn't decipher. Clara, who was usually fearless, confessed to seeing apparitions of tormented patients, reaching out to her in silent pleas. Lena sensed the presence of multiple lost souls, their agony amplified by the Silencer, who seemed to feed off their misery. This demonic entity, she believed, was the result of Dr. Keller's unholy rituals, acting as a warden, ensuring no spirit escaped the asylum's cursed walls. The climax of our investigation came when Mia received a vision of a secret chamber, where Dr. Keller performed his heinous rituals. Guided by her intuition, we found it, hidden behind the walls of the director's old office. Inside, the atmosphere was stifling, the room's centerpiece an old, stained altar. This was the source of the asylum's haunting. Ethan discovered an old tome filled with rituals, one of which could potentially bind the Silencer. With Lena leading the exorcism, we formed a circle, chanting verses to draw out the demon. The room darkened, the air thickened, and a guttural growl reverberated. Before us, the Silencer manifested, its malevolence palpable. The spirits of the asylum, empowered by our presence, rallied against their oppressor. The struggle was intense. Clara held onto me, tears streaming down her face, as Lena, with unmatched determination, continued the ritual. With a final, deafening roar, the Silencer was bound, its reign of terror ended. The spirits, free from their shackles, slowly faded away, leaving behind an atmosphere of peace. Elmridge Asylum, though still standing, no longer echoed with cries of the tormented. Our group, forever changed by the experience, vowed to use our skills to liberate other haunted places. Whenever I look back at 2006, I'm reminded of the thin line that separates our world from the unseen. The memories of Elmridge, though harrowing, also serve as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, both living and departed. Story number 7. Whispering Willows, Secrets of the Silent. The summer of 2007 feels like a lifetime ago, yet the memories are as vivid as yesterday. My name is Lucas, a journalist with a knack for chasing stories that others might deem too unsettling. Sarah, my confidant and photographer, was always by my side, her lens capturing the unseeable. Intrigued by the rumors surrounding the old Whispering Willows Asylum in a forgotten suburb, we decided to delve into its mysteries. Our journey was bolstered by the expertise of two distinctive individuals, Ryan, an academic with profound knowledge of cult practices, and Zoe, a medium who communicated with the spirit realm. Whispering Willows, once a towering edifice of hope, now lay in ruin, a silent testament to the tragedies within its walls. Our initial explorations were marked by unease. Sarah's camera often malfunctioned, and Zoe sensed a brooding presence, always watching, always waiting. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in shades of purple, Ryan uncovered an old diary belonging to Dr. Alistair, the last superintendent of the asylum. Entries revealed his descent into madness, lured by a cult that promised power through devil worship. His obsession culminated in ritualistic ceremonies, using the vulnerable patients as unwilling participants. I still remember that chilling night when Zoe, her face contorted in fear, relayed a message from a spirit named Emily. Emily unveiled the existence of a cursed chamber where countless souls were sacrificed to summon an entity named the Silenced One. This malevolent being thrived on suffering, ensuring that those who perished within the asylum's walls remained trapped, their voices forever muted. Determined to uncover the chamber, Sarah and I ventured deeper into the asylum's catacombs. In a secluded corner, shrouded in darkness, we found it. The room bore inscriptions of rituals, and at its center lay a stone altar stained with remnants of dried blood. Our discovery was interrupted by an unearthly scream. Rushing back, we found Ryan and Zoe surrounded by apparitions of tormented souls, their faces reflecting unspeakable pain. In their midst stood the Silenced One, its very presence suffocating all hope. Drawing upon Zoe's knowledge and Ryan's research, we decided to perform an improvised ritual to bind the entity. Using the inscriptions from the chamber, we chanted in unison, our voices echoing through the hollowed corridors. The entity fought back with unparalleled rage, its screams piercing our eardrums. But as dawn broke, our collective willpower prevailed. The Silenced One was imprisoned, the spirits it once tormented now set free. Emerging from Whispering Willows, our souls bore the weight of the horrors we'd witnessed. Ryan and Zoe continued their respective paths, forever altered by the experience. Looking back, I often find myself at a loss for words, struggling to convey the depths of the terror we felt. But one thing is certain, the experience at Whispering Willows was a stark reminder of the darkness that often lurks in the shadows, patiently waiting for its moment to strike. Story number 8. Eclipse of Eden, Shadows of Silence. That was the year my life, along with those of my friends, changed forever. My name is Claire, an aspiring filmmaker with an insatiable curiosity about the unknown. Eager to capture the essence of the supernatural, I gathered a team for a documentary that would delve into the mysteries of the long-abandoned Edenbrook Asylum, located on the outskirts of a forgotten suburb. Joining me were Alex, my childhood friend and sound engineer, and Mia, a passionate cinematographer. We also enlisted the expertise of Leo, a renowned historian specializing in occult practices, and Elise, a sensitive psychic who claimed to commune with the other side. The exterior of Edenbrook was hauntingly beautiful, a juxtaposition to the tales of horror that emanated from within its walls. As we ventured deeper, a suffocating silence enveloped us. The weight of countless souls trapped in torment was palpable. Our initial explorations were marked by peculiar occurrences. Elise would occasionally freeze, her eyes glazing over as she muttered cryptic messages. Alex's sound equipment picked up eerie whispers, even in places where silence reigned. One fateful night, as a rare solar eclipse darkened the skies, Leo discovered a hidden chamber concealed behind a false wall. The room was adorned with disturbing murals of devil worship and ritualistic sacrifices. A journal, tattered by time, detailed the sinister practices of Dr. Nathaniel, the asylum's chief psychiatrist. Under the influence of a mysterious cult, he had experimented on his patients, seeking to harness their souls' energies to gain infernal power. Elise, visibly shaken, relayed her communication with a spirit named Lily, a former patient. She recounted harrowing tales of rituals that took place during lunar eclipses, which amplified the dark energies. Lily's spirit, along with many others, was bound to Edenbrook, tormented by the malevolent force Dr. Nathaniel had unleashed. Recognizing the importance of the ongoing eclipse, we decided to use the moment to perform a counter-ritual, hoping to free the trapped souls and bind the dark force. With Elise leading the incantation, and Leo providing the necessary knowledge, we formed a protective circle. The shadows around us came alive, taking on menacing forms. An overpowering voice, presumably Dr. Nathaniel's, threatened our very existence. However, as the eclipse reached its peak, Elise's voice soared, her words of release piercing the oppressive darkness. With the final chant, a brilliant light emanated from the room, and the spirits of Edenbrook found their release. The malevolent force, weakened by our determination, was bound to the chamber, never to torment again. Though we emerged from Edenbrook triumphant, the ordeal left an indelible mark on our souls. Mia, Leo, and Elise went on to use their experiences for greater good in their respective fields. Looking back, I often reflect on the thin line between curiosity and peril. The shadows of Edenbrook, though now silent, serve as a chilling reminder of the price of delving too deep into the unknown. Story number 9. The Lament of Black Hollow. 2009, Black Hollow, a quaint suburb yet home to secrets that would haunt my dreams forever. My name is Emma, and I was a fresh graduate in journalism, driven by an unyielding hunger for the truth. Ryan, my childhood friend and an equally curious fellow, was my partner in this venture. Intrigued by the stories of Black Hollow Sanitarium, abandoned decades ago, we decided to make a documentary that could make our careers. We enlisted Derek, a tech-savvy drone operator, Lila, a gifted medium with an uncanny connection to the other side, and Greg, an anthropology professor passionate about ancient cults. The sanitarium, even in daylight, seemed to throb with an invisible menace. It stood as a silent witness to countless untold horrors. Derek's drones captured eerily beautiful aerial shots, juxtaposing the decaying structure with the surrounding verdant landscape. Inside, the air was thick with despair. Lila immediately sensed the overwhelming presence of trapped souls, crying out for release. Every corner seemed to echo with their agony. Ryan and I were skeptical but kept an open mind. Our skepticism, however, would not last. One evening, as Lila was attempting to communicate with the spirits, she was overtaken by an intense force. Her voice morphed into a low growl, reciting incantations in an ancient dialect. Greg recognized it as an old form of devil worship, used by cults to summon infernal beings. Searching for answers, we discovered old records detailing the history of Black Hollow Sanitarium. The institution had been a cover for a malevolent cult, which performed unspeakable rituals on the vulnerable patients, hoping to attain unholy powers. Greg surmised that the cult's activities had left an open portal to the netherworld, causing the hauntings. The spirits of the tormented souls, betrayed by those they trusted, were imprisoned, unable to move on. Determined to put an end to this nightmare, we decided to perform an exorcism ritual, guided by Lila and overseen by Greg. As we began, the atmosphere turned frigid. Shadows danced menacingly on the walls, and disembodied voices taunted us. Lila, channeling her strength, called upon higher powers to cleanse the place. The climax of our ritual was met with resistance as a colossal force tried to prevent the soul's release. The sanitarium trembled, lights flickered, and a cacophony of wails surrounded us. However, Lila's conviction proved stronger. With a deafening roar, the spirits were freed, and tranquility returned. Emerging from the darkness of Black Hollow Sanitarium, we were forever changed. Derek used the footage to advocate for the mental health system's improvement. Lila continued aiding those haunted by the paranormal, while Greg furthered his research into cult activities. As for Ryan and me, we were bound together not just by friendship but by an experience that few could fathom. We realized that the true horror wasn't just in the spirits trapped within the sanitarium, but in the capacity of humans to inflict pain upon the vulnerable. The whispers of Black Hollow serve as a chilling testament to the depths of human cruelty. Story number 10. Whispers from Ravenbrook. I can still feel the cold touch of the spirits of Ravenbrook. The year was 2010, and the vibrant summer had given no indication of the chilling horrors that awaited us. I'm Alex, an ambitious young filmmaker. Beside me in this endeavor was my girlfriend, Clara, a rising paranormal investigator. Drawn by tales of ghostly apparitions and haunting cries, Clara and I decided to dig deep into the shadows of Ravenbrook's abandoned asylum. For technical assistance, we had Dean, a genius with audio and video equipment. Then there was Eliza, a historian and author eager to uncover dark secrets from the past. Ravenbrook, though just a mere suburb, held a ghastly reputation. The asylum, once a beacon of hope, had turned into a house of despair. Eliza's research unveiled that the hospital had a notorious history of patients mysteriously taking their own lives. The cause? An elusive cult operating within the asylum, using patients in devil-worshipping rites. As our nights in the asylum grew longer, it became evident that the tales weren't just stories. Dean's equipment started picking up ghostly whispers and cries. We witnessed shadow figures darting between rooms and often felt watched. Clara, sensitive to the paranormal, became our compass, leading us through the hospital's gloom. One evening, while we were exploring the asylum's east wing, Eliza stumbled upon a concealed room. Inside, we found an altar stained with dried blood, surrounded by eerie symbols. This was the heart of the horrors. Clara, compelled by an unseen force, began reciting an ancient chant, her voice echoing through the grim chamber. Suddenly, the atmosphere grew dense. An overwhelming feeling of dread enveloped us. Eliza, her eyes wide with terror, realized that Clara was inadvertently performing a summoning ritual. The very ritual that the cultists had used to commune with dark forces. From the shadows, vengeful spirits emerged. Dean's equipment went haywire, capturing chilling EVPs of voices begging for release. We were trapped in the midst of a supernatural storm. It was clear that we had to close the portal Clara had unknowingly opened. Using her knowledge, Eliza guided us through an improvised exorcism. The spirits grew restless, lashing out. It felt like an eternity, but after what seemed like hours, the shadows receded. Emerging from Ravenbrook's asylum, we were scarred yet alive. The footage we had was a testament to the atrocities that had taken place within those walls. Dean went on to become a renowned paranormal documentarian. Eliza penned a bestseller, detailing our harrowing experience. Clara and we continued our journey, exploring the unknown. But the whispers from Ravenbrook served as a reminder of the fine line between our world and the one beyond. The horrors of that place were a manifestation of humanity's darkest inclinations, showing us that sometimes, the most terrifying monsters are the ones we create. Story number 11. The Echoes of Hollow Creek. In the crisp winter of 2011, I found myself driving down an eerily silent road towards Hollow Creek, a suburban town infamous for its haunted mental asylum. My name's Mark, a writer with a penchant for the supernatural. Accompanying me on this venture were Tara, a gifted psychic, and Liam, a skeptic photographer with an adventurous spirit. Our mission was to chronicle the mysteries shrouding Hollow Creek's abandoned asylum. Joining us in this undertaking were Amelia, a folklore expert with an uncanny knowledge of the occult, and Ethan, a daring paranormal investigator who'd faced the unseen numerous times. The Hollow Creek Asylum stood forebodingly on the town's outskirts, casting a long, haunting shadow. Within its first night, the place lived up to its sinister reputation. Tara sensed a myriad of trapped souls, crying out from the beyond. Ethan's devices recorded anomalous energy spikes, while Liam's camera captured ghostly apparitions. Amelia, with her vast knowledge, uncovered a harrowing tale. Decades ago, the asylum's chief doctor was rumored to dabble in the dark arts. Using vulnerable patients, he conducted grotesque rituals in hopes of achieving immortality. The result? Countless unexplained deaths and a portal to the demonic realm. One evening, as I walked down the dilapidated hallway, I felt an icy hand grip my shoulder. Turning around, there was no one. But a cold breeze whispered, "Help us." It became clear that the souls trapped here sought liberation from their tormentor, the nefarious doctor who now existed as a malevolent entity. Realizing the magnitude of our discovery, we decided to conduct an exorcism to free the spirits and banish the doctor's evil presence. Amelia led the ritual, using ancient incantations she'd studied. Tara, channeling her psychic energy, acted as our bridge to the spirit realm. But the entity wouldn't go without a fight. Shadows danced menacingly, the temperature plummeted, and chilling screams echoed throughout the asylum. The very fabric of reality seemed to tear, revealing glimpses of hellish landscapes. In the climactic moment, as the entity lunged at us, Ethan unleashed a blinding light, a device he'd been working on that emitted concentrated positive energy. The malevolent doctor shrieked in agony and was banished to the abyss. With dawn breaking, the atmosphere in Hollow Creek's asylum shifted. The oppressive weight lifted, replaced by a serene calm. The souls, once trapped, had found their peace. We left Hollow Creek with more than just memories. Our experience was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. Liam's photographs became a sensation in the paranormal community. Tara continued her journey, connecting with the other side. Amelia and Ethan teamed up for further investigations. As for me, I penned down our encounters, ensuring that the tales of Hollow Creek would never be forgotten. Story number 12. The Shadows of Ravensbrook. That was the year I found myself driving through the desolate streets of Ravensbrook, a suburb known more for its ghost stories than its residents. My name's Clara, a journalist who'd heard rumors about Ravensbrook's mental asylum and its chilling history. My boyfriend, Alex, a pragmatic engineer, decided to join me on this trip. We teamed up with 3 other individuals intrigued by the mysteries of Ravensbrook: Zoe, a historian fascinated by asylum records; Jack, an urban explorer with tales of ghost towns; and Mia, a medium who could communicate with the beyond. Ravensbrook Asylum stood secluded, surrounded by barren trees and overgrown weeds. Its darkened windows seemed to watch us, a silent witness to a century of torment. Zoe found records of patients who'd mysteriously died in the asylum. Many had taken their own lives, but others had unexplained causes of death, their final moments marked with terror. On our second night, Mia, sensing restless spirits, conducted a seance. To our horror, she became a vessel for a tormented soul named Sarah. Sarah spoke of a time when devil worship dominated the asylum. A secret cult had risen, led by a charismatic patient who promised power and immortality. They would perform ghastly rituals in the depths of the night. Walking through the dilapidated wards, Jack and I stumbled upon remnants of these rituals. In one room, we discovered a pentagram drawn in dried blood, surrounded by disturbing symbols. As we explored further, the atmosphere grew suffocating, as though the very walls wanted to keep their secrets. It was Mia who confirmed our fears. The leader of the cult had bound the souls of his followers, ensuring they remained trapped in the asylum. Their suffering fueled his demonic power, granting him a twisted form of immortality. Realizing we couldn't leave the spirits in such agony, we decided to confront this entity and release the souls. With Zoe's historical knowledge, we unearthed an ancient exorcism rite, which we believed could counteract the dark magic. The exorcism, held in the ritual room, became a battle of wills. The demonic entity unleashed a cacophony of screams, shadows writhed, and the air grew frigid. Mia, channeling her energy, beckoned the tormented souls to aid us. As Zoe chanted the exorcism, Alex and Jack constructed a barrier using light and salt, preventing the entity's escape. With a deafening roar, the entity was banished, its dark reign over Ravensbrook Asylum ended. The souls, once trapped in torment, found solace. Emerging from the asylum, the world seemed brighter, the weight of Ravensbrook's past lifted. Alex and I left Ravensbrook with a newfound respect for the unknown. Zoe, Jack, and Mia continued their quest, uncovering dark histories hidden away. And as for me, I documented our harrowing encounter, ensuring the world knew of the brave souls of Ravensbrook and the shadows that once roamed its halls. Story number 13. Echoes of Marlow Heights. In the autumn of 2013, the unfamiliar stretches of Marlow Heights beckoned me into a world of haunting mysteries. My name is Luke, and I was then an up-and-coming filmmaker eager to uncover the truth behind America's most haunted locations. My best friend, Amelia, a skeptical psychologist, joined the expedition, intrigued by the tales of suicidal hauntings at the old Marlow Mental Asylum. We partnered with two locals, Rebecca, a fervent historian, and Danny, a paranormal investigator with gadgets that could apparently detect the other side. Marlow Heights, once a thriving suburb, had been reduced to a ghost town, with the imposing structure of the Marlow Mental Asylum casting a shadow over the dilapidated homes. On our first night, we camped outside the asylum. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, hearing murmured whispers and glimpsing fleeting shadows. Rebecca uncovered dark chapters of the asylum's past. She spoke of Dr. Warren, a renowned psychiatrist who became obsessed with the occult. Under his guidance, the asylum began incorporating dark rituals as treatments, believing it could cure mental ailments. Many patients tragically died during these procedures, their causes of death concealed under the guise of medical complications. As we ventured deeper into the asylum, a chilling realization dawned on Amelia. She recognized some of the therapeutic methods Dr. Warren had used. They were eerily similar to modern therapeutic techniques but were executed with a sinister twist. One evening, Danny's equipment began picking up erratic readings. We followed the signal to the old therapy room, where we found an old journal. Flipping through its pages, we stumbled upon entries of dark ceremonies, devil worship, and details of a powerful demon summoned to aid in treatments. The atmosphere grew tense, and Amelia, usually a beacon of skepticism, admitted to feeling watched. We decided to hold a seance, hoping to communicate with any spirits and learn the truth. As the room darkened, we were met with a cacophony of voices, patients crying out, echoing their torment. Amidst the chaos, Rebecca began reciting a protection chant. The voices grew louder, and in that cacophony, a dominant voice emerged, the voice of Dr. Warren. He spoke of his pact with a demon, how it promised power and knowledge in return for souls. He admitted to manipulating the treatments to feed the demon. Realizing we had to put an end to this, Amelia suggested an exorcism. Using a mix of Rebecca's historical rituals and Danny's modern techniques, we confronted the demon. The air grew thick, the temperature plummeted, and a whirlwind of voices surrounded us. But, with our combined strength, we managed to banish the demon, releasing the trapped souls and ending the curse of Marlow Heights. After that harrowing night, the oppressive weight that had blanketed Marlow Heights seemed to lift. We left with a story that few would believe, yet the four of us knew the truth. Today, as I recall those chilling events, I can't help but wonder about the other dark corners of the world, waiting to unveil their mysteries. And while Marlow Heights remains a scar in my memory, it's also a testament to the power of unity against the darkest of evils. Story number 14. The Hollow Shadows of Harrowsgate. The ominous fog that hung over Harrowsgate in 2014 is one I can never forget. My name's Clara, and back then, I was part of a youthful, passionate team determined to uncover the dark tales that surrounded Harrowsgate Mental Asylum. It began when my childhood friend, Max, showed me an old photo of a decrepit building, its windows like hollow eyes staring back. With us was Mia, a budding journalist with a penchant for all things eerie. To provide a balanced perspective, we were joined by Dr. Ethan, a fresh-faced psychiatrist, and Jane, a local medium with profound spiritual sensitivity. Our first visit to Harrowsgate was during the day. It seemed abandoned, but not empty. The air was thick with sorrow, and even Max, usually unshakable, felt uneasy. As we roamed its forsaken halls, Jane, the medium, was the first to sense them, whispers of the past, lost souls yearning to tell their stories. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mia discovered archived documents. The asylum, under the leadership of its last superintendent, Dr. Keaton, had been the site of dark experiments. He believed in harnessing spirits for therapeutic means, blending medical science with occult practices. The outcomes, however, were fatal. Patients lured with promises of innovative treatments met tragic ends, their souls bound to the asylum. Driven by this harrowing revelation, we held nightly vigils. Jane attempted to communicate with the spirits, and with each session, we unraveled the depths of the horrors committed. One spirit stood out, a young woman named Lily, who spoke of her love for a fellow patient, Samuel. Their bond was their solace, but Dr. Keaton, in his mad quest, used their deep connection against them, leading to their tragic demise. The weight of the sorrow grew unbearable, especially for Ethan. He found parallels between Dr. Keaton's methods and the early teachings of psychiatry, clouded by misinterpretations and a lack of understanding. One chilling night, while we were deep in another seance, Mia played an old phonograph found in Dr. Keaton's office. As haunting melodies filled the air, Jane channeled Dr. Keaton's spirit. He spoke with arrogance, defending his methods, boasting about his pact with dark forces. He hinted at a grand ritual, where he planned to meld with a powerful demon to gain unmatched medical prowess. Realizing the gravity of what was unleashed, we turned to Jane. With her guidance, we prepared for an exorcism. We set it on the anniversary of Lily and Samuel's death, hoping their bond would aid us. As the ritual began, the winds howled, and the ground trembled. We faced the wrath of the demon Keaton had summoned. Mia's voice, reading protective chants, mingled with Ethan's scientific incantations. Max and I anchored the circle, our shared history strengthening the bond. With Lily and Samuel's spirits guiding us, after hours of confrontation, the demon was finally banished. The asylum, once filled with anguish, felt somewhat at peace. Now, as I remember Harrowsgate, the shadows seem less menacing. The story we uncovered there, though filled with terror, also bore testament to love's enduring strength in the face of unspeakable evil. And while the world moved on, the tales of Harrowsgate remain, a somber reminder of the past's echoing footsteps. Story number 15. The Echoes of Elmsworth. The year 2015. I remember it clearer than yesterday's rain, for it's etched in a corner of my mind from which there's no escape. My name is Alice, and Elmsworth Asylum, perched eerily on the fringes of our town, was where my life changed forever. Liam, my college sweetheart, always had a peculiar obsession with ghost stories. We were to explore the asylum for our shared blog. Tagging along were Amber, an ardent paranormal investigator with all the fancy equipment, Rebecca, a historian passionate about the dark periods of medical history, and Ryan, a videographer set on capturing every creepy creak and whisper. The setting sun greeted us upon arrival. The facade of Elmsworth was as unsettling as the tales associated with it. Liam, ever the skeptic, let us in, chuckling and cracking jokes. But as the heavy doors shut behind us, the chilling silence consumed his humor. We wandered the crumbling corridors, with Amber's gadgets occasionally emitting erratic signals. The deeper we ventured, the heavier the air became, pregnant with stories of torment and pain. Rebecca unveiled the gruesome history of the institution. It was shut down following a series of unexplained deaths, all attributed to a sinister cult that had covertly operated within its walls. As dusk approached, Amber's equipment picked up a faint cry, leading us to a secluded ward. Rows of empty beds with rusty chains narrated tales of agony. In the center stood an altar, remnants of dark rituals scattered around. The air was thick with dread. Late into the night, Ryan, eager to get an evocative shot, provoked the spirits. The room turned ice cold. Shadows danced menacingly. Rebecca, her voice trembling, began narrating a ritual she had read about. It spoke of summoning a demon to cleanse the souls, but often went awry. With Ryan's taunts, we felt an unseen force. I remember Amber's readings spiking, her voice echoing a warning, but it was too late. One by one, we felt a presence penetrate our beings. Liam, usually so strong, was on the floor, gasping. The entity, through him, spoke of unfinished rituals and souls trapped in agony. I was paralyzed with fear, but a fire ignited within Rebecca. With her knowledge, she began countering the entity, chanting incantations to protect us. The struggle between her chants and the entity's malevolent force was palpable. But with Amber's and Ryan's help, we managed to perform an improvised exorcism, freeing Liam and the tormented souls. The dawn painted the asylum in an innocent hue, masking its sinister past. As we walked out, the weight of the horrors inside clung to us, forever imprinted in our memories. To this day, I avoid that part of town, the echoes of Elmsworth forever haunting my dreams. The terror, the helplessness, and the sheer force of will to confront unspeakable evil, I remember it all.